What's up? This is Jason from Building 429.
Hey, this is Colton Dixon.
Hey, this is Francesca Battistelli.
Hey, it's John Muskilla. You're listening to Dispatch Radio.
Well, folks, it's an amazing time, amazing tour, and a great guest. We've talked about Michael Jr. before on the show. More Than Funny is the event that is a Fathom event we're partnering with to promote. It's in theaters all around the country. It doesn't matter if you're listening to us live here locally, you're listening to us online. You can go to michaeljr.com. There's tickets there. You can be a part of this October 18th, 7 o'clock, and it's great to have him with us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, awesome, fabulous. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate this a lot.
Absolutely awesome. And, it's great to see the tour kind of manifest itself in a cinema theatrical presentation. Tell us what that's been like.
It's really kind of amazing, man. I mean, we have a really great response to the tour, and now people, so we can reach everybody at one time. We're like, let's put this thing in theaters across the country so everybody can laugh and get on the same page and have a great time. It'd be awesome, and that's what we're doing. But it's one night only, so it could sell out. We have a couple theaters, some theaters in some cities are already sold out. So that's kind of cool, but at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, they got to go online. They got to get their tickets. Make sure you got your seat, and it's important to do that. Whether you go to Fathom Events directly or go to Michael Jr.'s website, get yourself a seat. Now, with the tour, and you've done a lot of shows. I know you were even here in the Tampa Bay area a few years back, and one of the things that you talk about is I remember you said from your TED Talk, I think, had a similar name, if not the exact same name, of what comedy is and this structure and how it can apply to life. And how has that principle evolved for you and changed you over the last couple of years that you've really kind of embraced that?
Well, I think I was kind of living by that principle already, but just didn't have the ability to articulate it for other people because it really started when I was doing a show outside a club one night. And right before I got on stage, I had a change in mindset about comedy. Normally when I got on stage, I was all about getting laughs from people. But I felt like a shift was supposed to take place where instead of trying to get laughs from people, I should give them an opportunity to laugh. This little shift changed so much. So I go on stage that night. We're in Los Angeles. I do the show. I lead a club, and there's people that want pictures and autographs. Same situation a lot of times when I lead this club. But this in particular time, I noticed a homeless guy was across the street from the club. Now, I've been at that club many a times performing. The same club Jay Leno was at all the time. Chris Rock is there. Jerry Seinfeld. But this time I leave the club, and I look across the street, and I saw this homeless dude. And I had never seen this guy before, ever, or any homeless people. But could it be because before I was only looking to get laughs? Maybe that's why I didn't see him. So it kind of inspired me. So on our next tour, we started, in addition to doing our big show that night for all of the people, we would go to prisons and homeless shelters, abused children's facilities, and we would take comedy there first. So first, we would do the comedy, then do the show that night, and then a couple legs into the tour, I was thinking, on stage, I just had this instinct. I was like, why don't I share one of these stories with these people? Because their stories, the homeless people, their stories are amazing. So I just share one of the stories with my ticketed audience. And I didn't know how it was going to go, but they really liked the story. Now, they didn't laugh, but you could tell they were moved by it. And then when we jumped back into the jokes, the laughs were even bigger. It wasn't just funny, it was more than funny. So now what I decided to do with the comedy specials, we took the 3 stories that I liked the most, and we went out, took our camera crew, and we captured those stories. And now we put them in the middle of stand-up comedy, and we called it More Than Funny. And this is really where this idea came from. A few people like yourself in media have seen it, and the response has been pretty significant. I can't wait until it hits theaters on October 18th.
Well, folks, it definitely struck me, and it's hit me right into my heart and in my passion. I know here on the show I've talked a lot about really kind of the transfer of focus in my ministry of serving others and looking for things, and how God had to speak to me and talk about how it's not 4 walls, it's every day of every minute. I was just trapping myself in silly things like guilt and different things that were happening with the business and travel and things like that kind of mess you up. And sometimes I think, Michael, and maybe you can speak to this, it's a little hard sometimes as a Christian to understand that God's call for you can be unorthodox and sort of like, something that's hard to understand because that's not the stereotype that we're being taught.
Absolutely. I even talk about how your like we'll run into some setbacks, and it'll hurt us a little bit, and it'll seem like it's uncomfortable, but your setbacks are actually part of your setup, so you can deliver the punchline you're called to deliver. Mm-hmm. Meaning, it's all like God doesn't waste anything. I mean, Joseph, my goodness, really? In prison, all that stuff, every ounce of all of that insight he got, even during his setbacks, God completely used it later on. So it's the same thing. Your setbacks are part of your setup, so you can deliver a punchline. The key is to just stop asking, what can I get, and start asking, what can I give? I know that seems pretty simple, but if you don't articulate which question you're going to ask, by default you ask, what can I get? So I was talking to a mechanic at one of my shows. We were laughing, having fun. And then I asked him what do you do? He said, he said, I'm a mechanic. I was like, what does that mean? He said, that means I get paid to fix cars. So we started talking for a little bit about setup a punchline. By the end of it, this guy says, you know what, Michael? I actually help ensure that people reach their desired destination. Mm. Whoa. Yeah. He didn't change jobs. He just changed his mindset. His alarm clock is probably out of business because of that perspective. But here's the thing. We couldn't even have that conversation if the show wasn't funny. Like if he wasn't laughing and their hearts weren't open, we couldn't even have that conversation. So I always lead with the funny. Like I find funny everywhere. I'm at the grocery store like 2 days ago, and I'm buying some food, and the lady behind the counter says, "Hey, would you like to give some money to feed the hungry?" And I'm thinking, that's what I just did. Like, I just bought some hamburger meat. What are you talking about? So I find funny everywhere. She laughs behind the counter, and we get this little connection for a second where I could have just been a regular customer, but instead I use my setup, my ability to be funny, to deliver a punchline and change her day a little bit. And this movie is about helping other people see those opportunities to do just that. But we're laughing 97% of the time. Same comedy I've done on the Tonight Show, Comedy Central, Jay Leno, all of these shows, Jimmy Kimmel, but we just wrapped it around something that's a little more inspiring.
MichaelJr.com. You can get tickets or reserve your seats. It's theaters all over the country. They're well over 600, probably getting close to 700 theaters and auditoriums. And make sure you get your seats. That's on October 18th at 7 o'clock. And, you know, Michael, as you're doing these different things, obviously you're still so active, obviously with this project stuff. How do you write? You kind of like do a day-to-day thing? You have a little notebook? I mean, kind of how are you kind of like, because let's face it, life writes itself when it comes to comedy and stuff. You know, I tell people around me, like, I can't make this stuff up. There's no way I can make this stuff up. People wouldn't believe me. So how do you do that? How do you go around trying to gather material and write and kind of do that?
Yeah, I just always have some way to write on me. Meaning, whether it be a notepad or my phone, I just open up an app immediately. I have a real fast way of opening up an app, and I write down whatever just happened. And then later on, when I'm at the office or in the studio area, I'll actually go through all of those notes and then start walking them out, whether it be in a hotel room or whatever, and just start talking them and walking them and thinking them through and developing them into the comedy that it needs to be. And then I'll present that test it out on an audience. But a lot of my show is like an improv type show where I'm just kind of talking to the audience and funny just kind of happens on the spot. So the movie on October 18th is actually a combination of all of that. So it's some material that I've worked on and honed and tested and strong. And then there's also some pretty hysterical improv sessions in there too that are just like completely unrehearsed. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how people are going to respond, and they respond in a great way. Then at the end of the movie, there's a really, really awesome, unexpected turn that happens right in the middle of the movie. Or I should say right at the end of the movie that nobody is expecting. It's so cool. Like it is. The production team did such a great job on this. Like I'm just blown away. I can't wait till people can see it. Except the people in Spokane, Washington, in case you're listening online. Sorry, I know the theaters are sold out. There's a couple of cities where theaters are sold out already. So hopefully people get their...
They'll have to add a show there. Come on, folks. Call your theater. Tell them they got another screen. Nobody needs to see that other movie
Yeah.
again. Trust me. I saw Life Itself. It's bad. It's bad. Don't see that. Tell them to shut that off. Turn this on. This is way better than that.
That's amazing.
more than funny. It is just amazing stuff. We'll put links there for Fathom Events and his website. Make sure you get your tickets, especially if you're listening to us here locally. We're going to go back out, taking a bunch of people, taking them to the show here in town. And make sure you're doing that at your church and your group. Take the youth out, do whatever. Just have a good time, challenge one another, and dive into this. You know, Michael, as we wrap up, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but what do you do to kind of help keep your spiritual walk and keep your focus too? Because, you know, as a professional and the demands of all of this, it's still also important that you kind of have that priority in your life and your heart and stuff like that. So how do you kind of walk through that?
Well, I take a Sabbath day just about every single week. I'm not religious about it at all, but every Monday it is for me right now. I don't do any work. Like, I just don't. I just hang out with my wife, pick up my kid. I just don't do any work at all and just relax and only do what I feel like God is saying for me to do that day. And most of the time, it's just rest. So I literally won't do it, no matter what's going on. Like, even in the middle of all this movie stuff and all of these people trying to get tickets and all of this stuff, I just completely turn that off and just say, hey, I know there's a lot going on, but either I'm going to try to do it or I'm just going to fully trust God and just let him take care of whatever happens. And that right there really is actually a great exercise for trust for me, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like, all of these things going on and all this cool stuff. Like, I don't know. I got TV shows and great stuff going on. But on Monday, I'm not available. So that's what I really do, just try to relax and do nothing.
I'm with you there, man.
Somebody
told me once to say God can do more. God can do more for me in 6 days than I could ever do in 7. So I need to just calm down, take a day off.
Yeah. He built this one place called Earth.
Michael, last question. I'll wrap up with you here. And what do you find inspiration from? Who kind of still inspires you? Do you listen to certain people or read certain people, watch pastors online or something like that? Or what? Who's still inspiring you?
So I will listen to Craig Rochelle, Pastor Robert Morris. I'll listen to Miles McPherson, but then there's also Miles Monroe, who passed away a while back, but I'll listen to him as well. So very, very, so, you know, and then I'm constantly, like, I read through the Bible this year already. Like, I'm just constantly digging in, no matter where I'm at, listening to the Word, because, you know, faith comes by hearing and hearing. So I'm always trying to just, like, if I'm in my car, the music's not on. There's something on where I'm trying to learn and grow and gain some understanding, because there's a lot that I don't understand. So I'm just digging in constantly. So
it's going to come out, folks. If you join us for More Than Funny, October 18th, 7 o'clock in theaters, Fathom Events, you can go to michaeljr.com, get tickets that way. We're going to link to all this, whether you're watching the YouTube clip or seeing it online. It doesn't matter. We'll put all that in there for you. And I want to thank Michael so much for his time and joining us. So stay with us as we wrap up this hour of the show.